What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee, and welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all so much for tuning in once again. So I am back with a reaction video. Now this one comes from Hardly Initiated. Now this is a debate between Anton and I think his name is Yada. Listen, I thought this was a good debate, you guys. I definitely want to get y'all thoughts on it. Make sure you chime in the comments, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and hit that bell. Y'all know what it is. I'm gonna stop talking. Let's go ahead and get into the reaction. Here we go.
Let's talk about it. Should men be expected to cover 100% of the bills? This is a major stressor to a lot of brothers out here. A lot of brothers out here split between this. A lot of brothers say that's absolutely insane to cover 100% of the bills. And a lot of other, you know, the ladies are saying that this is a must. I must get a brother to cover 100% of the bills. So let's bring some clarity to this, Yada. I'm gonna have you open up the conversation here. Should men be expected to cover 100% of the bills?
I believe if men are claiming to be providers, and we know that means to take care of whoever's under you, that he should provide 100%. While we're doing this, this gives the woman time and space, not just to be great for the man, but also great for the children. And I want to use myself for example. I provide 100% for my woman. My son, he's only 5 years old, and he was tested 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. 2 days ago, he's only in kindergarten, but he tested at a 4th grade level. Why is that? Because I handle my responsibility. Providing isn't just financial. Any man off the street can walk to a woman and give her money. Providing is elevating a woman mentally, elevating a woman spiritually, emotionally. This is what it means to provide for a woman. Not just here's some money, run off with it. No. Let me elevate you. Let me bring you closer to your God. Let me set standards in your life. If your father gave you to me, you are my responsibility from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head. I'm gonna love everything about you 100%. And if I can't do that, I'm not a man. I'm a male. And that's a difference.
Now listen, I think what he's saying is correct. I definitely agree with what he's saying here. Men are the providers and the protectors. And I think if you have a wife and you have children, those are the people that you're supposed to provide and protect for. And if you are, you know, the type of man who wants to have your wife at home raising the kids, making sure that they're taken care of, making sure that they're learning, making sure that they have the things that they're needing and elevating as well, I don't see a problem with it. Because honestly, to me, that's the best of both worlds, where you can have a wife at home who's making sure the kids are good in every way, the home is taken care of, all of that. If you have, the key points to that is if you have that type of woman. See, that's the problem we're facing now. There aren't a lot of women who want to do that. They want to be outside. They want to go on girls trips. They don't want to just be at home. They don't want to do any nurturing. They don't want to do all of that. And I think that's the problem that we're running into. And once again, there are women who have had this and they walked away from it because they were not satisfied. But let's continue.
First thing we have to do is we have to ask ourselves the question, what does it mean to be a man? Because being manly has nothing to do with a woman. It has nothing to do with pandering. It has nothing to do with just providing. Being a man means being purposeful. That's what being a man is. That means that whatever it is that I seek from God, because my purpose is not a woman. A woman is a helpmeet. So when he panders to you guys, and ladies, remember, I don't know what he's selling. I don't know what product that he has, but my goal is to get you married. My goal is to have you married based off of what God says is sanctified, right? I don't want y'all divorced. I don't want you unequally yoked. I don't want you to be a single baby mama. I don't want you shooting your shot in the dark thinking that this guy is giving you insight when he's just giving you talking points with no real substance behind it. And here's the context. At what age do you want to be married? Do you put yourself in a position to find the person that's best for you? Has your father given you away? Does your parents actually see value in the person that is looking to marry you? And when you start to ask yourself these questions, and I don't speak to just rich people because we both have money, we both have resources. So let's remove that from the table. I speak to the majority, not the minority. And when you are 20, 21, 22 years old, especially if you are a person that's looking to become a man, you are supposed to fail in controlled environments, meaning that your father is not even supposed to give you everything. He's supposed to give you what you need in order to be successful. My father was able to buy me a car, but he told me that I had to earn it and work for it because I valued it more, which then extended to every single thing that I touch, including the woman. See, my wife is here. My wife travels with me. She knows me. She understands me, right? And so at 20, 21, 22 years old, you supposed to be broke.
Oh, wait, let me stop it here. Let me tell you something. Anton is cooking. And you know what? Honestly, when I hear him speaking, a lot of people are not ready for what he's saying because it makes too much logical sense. And I watched this whole debate and there was a bunch of women in the comments for the other guy. I just don't think that a lot of people are ready for this conversation here. They tend to listen to the other guy because he kind of tells them what they want to hear and not holds them accountable. And I've noticed that too. And I've seen a couple of his clips. I don't know a lot about him, but I've seen a couple of his clips. It sounds like pandering to me. But what Anton is saying, a lot of these people are not prepared for that. They're really not. You know, they feel like it's antiquated because, oh, this is not what people want to do, because most people don't want to do things the right way. But if you really listen to what Anton is saying, he makes a lot of good sense. And a majority of these people ain't ready for that. They're not ready for that. But baby, let's continue.
Unless you're doing something that you ain't supposed to do in order to get it, you're supposed to be building. You're supposed to be understanding each other. It's a storming, a norming, a forming situation. And in no circumstance do you ever come into it fully understanding who the person is, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. And so when we start to look at what God has ordained to be great, the purpose of a man, it's not just to give spirituality and leadership, and it's to understand. The first thing that the word says, in everything that you do, you get understanding. And everything you do, you get understanding. I don't even know her. I don't even know you. Everybody is out here dating, everybody running around, everybody doing everything. They're giving themselves to each other. We think that money or resources or what you can do or what you can offer a person is supposed to make up for all of the insecurities and the problems and the issues that you have in your childhood. What have you solved for? Right? Do you have problems in your childhood? Do you even have a father? Do you know what it means to be a man? It's a lot of women that's raising men to be feminine because they're in single parent households.
Ooh, child. Once again, no lies detected. I speak on that as well. A lot of these women are raising these young boys by themselves because they chose to do it that way, and then wonder why the children have issues and why they have problems and why it's an issue. But they're constantly blaming the men who they chose to give babies to, but were not responsible men and were not their men a lot of times. And it goes back to the point that I was saying, how a lot of these women believe and feel they don't need a man to raise their child. But then once the child gets older and he's acting in this femininity, then you want to look at him sideways and complain about it. But also, these are the same men that these women complain about, talking about these men are sassy and things of that nature. Why is that? Because they were raised by single mothers. You can't constantly put the blame all on a man when you know that you are out here being reckless as well. Two reckless people out here doing whatever they want to do. Like he said, sleeping with each other, doing this, and then you pop up pregnant, and now you want that person to automatically be responsible when y'all both were irresponsible. It's a lot that goes into this, but I think nobody wants to really focus on the aspect of the women. They want to constantly put it on all the men and make it seem like the men are the problem, even for the men who have gotten themselves together, men who are leveling up, men who have standards. They're still to blame. You can't do that. You can't just put the blame on every man, because every man is not the same. It's a lot that goes into it. It really is. It's all about being accountable and taking responsibility for your actions and your choices and doing something about it. If you don't like the outcome, changing your behavior, learning something different. Let's continue.
Right? How does that look? What does it look like when you get into a situation with a woman that has a child out of wedlock already, and then she still has to deal with the father? How do you deal with that? See, these are the questions that he can't answer for you, because the only thing he talks about is pandering. I'm talking about context. I'm talking about substance. I'm talking about spirituality. I'm talking about praying together. I'm talking about building. You're supposed to get married when you're young because it prevents you from sinning and finding yourself with all of these bodies and these soul ties that ultimately carry with you for the rest of your life. And then you start to see every single man, and you can't take it out of your memory with the person that you wind up being with. Most women have skipped over the man that they're supposed to be with because they didn't have the guidance, because they didn't have the spirituality. They don't know the word of God. And so it's easy to just say, oh yeah, just provide 100%. What happens when life happens and you 22, 23, 24 years old and you get married? The economy messed everybody up. Everybody that thought that they had it, guess what? You got a plan and then God has a plan. What happened to the character? Why you don't talk about character? I don't tell my daughter to go and look for a guy to provide for her. I tell my daughter to go and look for a guy that's believing in God, that has good character, that actually worships and looks for and focuses on his purpose, because everything else falls in line. The money is gonna come. We so busy chasing money. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. You don't have to chase money. You don't have to look to women to provide for them, because if you're naturally that, if you're raised up in the admonition of your father, which is what God has ordained for you to do, you don't have to worry about that. That's naturally in you.
Oh, child, once again. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Listen, see, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. But he's spitting the truth. And in this day and age, nobody wants to hear that. People want to do what they want to do and want the most and the best of everything and complain and do all of this. It's not working though. See, it's not working. Anton is speaking facts to the root of the problem. Nobody wants to go to the root of the problem. You want to just look at the surface level stuff. And a lot of these people on social media are just telling these women what they want to hear, but not really getting to the root of the problem and the basis for what they need to be doing, because they've already done messed up. What Anton is talking about, people have already done the opposite of that. They've already went out and made all these babies. They've been promiscuous. They're out here in these streets. They're not trying to do the right things, but they want all of these things. They expect and believe and feel that they should get the top tier this, top tier that. And they're not following any order of God. They're not following any of that. They're doing it outside. They're doing what they want to do. And they don't want to hear what he's saying, but he's telling the truth. People don't want to get to the root of it because it requires them to make changes and adjust and do stuff that they don't want to do. Makes them look at the real tough issues and get to the root of it. They don't want to do that because it's too painful to deal with the trauma in your life, your childhood, your lack of not having stable parents in your household. So this is why accountability is so hard for a lot of women to accept, because they don't want to do it. It takes too much. Accountability, in my mind, means that you're going to have to make changes once you realize that you made a bunch of mistakes that didn't yield you the results you thought they would. It means you got to change from that mentality and figure out a new way. Baby, listen. Yeah, they ain't ready. Let's continue.
And so, yes, absolutely. She should be purposeful. And her purpose at that time could be raising the children, depending on if y'all got children. Her purpose at that time could be out there and bringing in resources because she's learning a new skill that can then translate into the company that y'all build together. It's a lot of nuance and a lot of context, but I hate it when people pander to women because they leading y'all astray. And it sounds like I'm a harsh father. It sounds like it's a difficult situation. It sounds like you're just supposed to be given everything. But if that's the case, then why are we as a society, why are we as a people, as black people in particular, so far behind, and we further behind than we ever been, even though we the freest and we have the opportunity to choose for ourselves? This isn't God. Ain't none of this what he talking about God right now. I ain't even getting started. I'm gonna let you cook. Go ahead, do your thing.
Wait, but I want clarity before we move on.
Go ahead,
because when we talk about should men pay 100% of the bills, I'm assuming that means based on the context that you just gave.
It's based off of your circumstance and situation. Everyone is different and nobody is a monolith.
Yeah, and you know what? He's right. It is sort of pandering like to the women, to tell these women and continue to perpetuate this idea in their minds that, oh, this is what men should do. Oh, men should just pay 100% of their bills. Y'all already know I don't agree with that. And even though I had that, I just think that out the gate, you shouldn't be looking for that. If that ends up being your reality, that's fine. And if that's what y'all want and you're doing your part, that's fine. But I don't think that's what you should be looking for out the gate. And it does depend on your situation, where you at, what it is you got going on, the person you're dealing with. Everybody's situation is not the same and everybody is not looking for the same thing. But it does come off as pandering when you say, oh, this is just what men should be doing. If they're not a man, if they don't just come out the gate and ask you what your bills are and then just start paying them, that's ridiculous to me. I'm just saying. Let's continue.
Nobody is a monolith.
Okay.
I love how he put so much passion into his words. But when God created man, God gave man a purpose. And what was the purpose? What was the purpose? He placed that man in a garden. What's this? That's a tree. What's this? Those are clouds. What's that? That's a sky. What's that? That's a bear.
That's not what happened.
Listen to
you
me.
Don't even know the
Man,
word of
listen
God.
to me.
You don't even know the word of
Listen
God,
to
but
me,
I'ma let you
brother.
cook.
Listen to me. And when God seen that he was fit to represent himself as a man, he put him to rest. And from that rib, he took Eve. Now, this is a fact. Now we have to understand, what does it mean when you create a woman from the rib? What is a rib? A rib protects the internal organs, the heart and the rib. If the rib is mishandled, it fractures, it breaks. And what does that do to the man? It leaves him vulnerable. It leaves him hurt. But if a man handles this rib, protects this rib, uplifts this rib, guides this rib, loves this rib, this woman is able to become something greater than what she was created, which uplifts the man himself. So God gave a man responsibility before he gave him a woman. He didn't say, here's Adam and here's Eve. He says, here's Adam and here's a responsibility. And then when God was seen that he was fit to be considered a man and a head, which God is the head of man and man is the head of woman, he then gave God Eve. I need every young man listening to me that was raised in a home without a father. Young girls that was raised in homes without fathers. Your mother is divine greatness. Your mother is beautiful. I don't care what no man says about you, your mother, or where you can go. Strive to elevate. Strive to become the best version you are before you get into a relationship, so you don't have to drag a woman through the same things your fathers did to your mothers.
Now, let me just chime in real quick, because something he said strive to become better, basically, so that you can be better than what the fathers did to your mothers. Now, there are situations now, because a lot of these people were raised by single mothers. They weren't raised with the fathers in the household. And it wasn't because all of the fathers just ran away. We got to stop with that narrative. That may have been some of the cases, but that is not all. A lot of these cases were situationships where these women were out having good times and got pregnant. And you could say, oh, well, that man should have just stepped up. But why? You got to think realistically. If she was just a jump off and they was having sex and she was just having a good time and he was having a good time, do you really expect that those men to take those women seriously enough to be fathers to those children? Now, I think if you're out here doing the do, then you need to be responsible. But we got to look at what reality is. A lot of these women were never in relationships. They were just getting pregnant by dudes. And a lot of them didn't even require the men to be in the child's life. And this is something I've seen firsthand growing up. We got to also understand that all of these situations are not just toxic fathers, because remember, the fathers weren't there. So the children were being raised by the single mothers. So the toxicity that a lot of these young people grow up in is attributed to the mothers. It's not always attributed to the fathers. There are a lot of men and women who have toxic relationships with their mothers because they realized some things about their mothers. These mothers weren't angels. They weren't these feminine, docile women who were just so perfect and great to the kids. A lot of these women were very masculine, very just aggressive. They were not really nice women, a lot of these women. And even with some of the fathers in the household, the mothers were the toxic ones. The mothers were the ones who caused the trauma in their lives. But they hate to talk about that because you don't want to seem as if you're coming off in a negative way towards your mother. But if we're going to be real, you got to understand there was some strong-minded, aggressive women who were not very good to their children and who neglected their kids and everything else. It's not just the fathers.
You know what's so funny about that story, the part that he left out?
What's that?
Is that she hearkened to the voice of the serpent. And the man wasn't there to protect her. God was. They had everything. They didn't even know that they was naked. He made her because he said that it wasn't good for man to be alone. And he didn't point to figure it out. He let him name every single thing that was in the garden. And the context matters. And this is what happens when you know your word. And the interesting part about it is the devil know parts of the Bible too. Oh, man. The devil know parts of the Bible too. So the serpent itself was able to beguile Eve because he understood what God told them not to do, to not to eat from that tree. not to eat that fruit. And although she had all of the covering that she could ever want and need, there is no greater provider than God himself. And you know what she did? She was disobedient. She still ate. And not only did she eat, she went and she gave it to her husband too, which then got them kicked out. And then they had to put cherubims around the tree of life so that they wouldn't eat it and become gods themselves. That's scripture. And then their children was raised up to then kill one another because one of them was jealous of the other. And then the children then became generational curses as a result of what the beguilement was from the wife, from Eve.
Brother.
No.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Okay.
He wasn't disobedient. He was punished for the thing that you tell women to do and you tell men to do. You said, people sent me a video of you saying a man should give 100% of his check to his wife. God punished Adam because he hearkened to the voice of his woman and he wasn't the leader that you saying with both tongues, because it's speaking from both tongues, that you said that men should do. It's the opposite of what God instructed man to do.
Ooh, child, Lord. Listen, now I didn't know that. I didn't know he said, oh, you should give your woman your whole check, child. This sounds like something from back in the 80s and the 70s or whatever, where men would work and just give the whole check to the wife. Ain't nobody trying to do that in this day and age. Why would you do that? That's crazy, baby. Ooh, child, let's continue.
He just said it so beautiful. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 through 6. Adam was right next to Eve when the serpent gave her the fruit to eat. He was right next to her. Listen to me. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 through 6. Can somebody read that for me?
Genesis chapter 3. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall y'all touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
That's correct.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her.
But see, here's the key. No, here's the key.
Now he want to change the word of God.
Nope, don't overtalk me. She talked to the serpent by herself. She ate from the tree by herself, and then she took with her and then dined with her husband.
That's not what it said.
Listen. That is what happened in the word.
Man.
He wants to, and here's the beautiful part about this, is that he's so stuck on pandering.
Oh man.
He's so stuck. And here's the beautiful part about this, is that regardless of what man that you have, regardless of your covering, he's going to suffer no matter what. He has to pay the price. Men today understand that regardless of whether or not we get you impregnated or not, we still have to be responsible for that. We go to jail regardless of if we want to take care of that kid or not. If we decide that we don't want to pay child support, even if it's not your child, a woman can put your name on the birth certificate and you will be imprisoned as a result of it.
That's facts. I mean, you can play around with words and what you think you're saying or whatever, but that's facts. But there's no consequences for women doing that. So the women could lie and just put anybody's name on there who she thinks the father is, or even if she, whoever, just to hold somebody accountable, and he could end up in jail or pay child support. And then when they find out that that child is not even his biological child, there's no consequences for the woman whatsoever. She just, oops, oh well, all right. And his life messed up. And then the actual father is still somewhere, probably don't even know who the father is. So let's continue.
We always want to put it on the men. And justifiably so, because men have to be responsible, and you've never seen how great a society is without men being great themselves.
First, I want to say, Anton, I love you. And I'm glad that you came here to speak with me today. We don't have to get emotional, over talk, yell. It's not about proving points. Bro, we going to show facts. That's it. You said talking points, right? You said we couldn't go into context. Now, as we see, when a man leaves a woman unprotected, she doesn't just get hurt. Her family beneath her gets hurt. Now we're going to step into what the brother was talking about, generational curses. The generational curse fell on the sons. You okay, brother? I thought you were having a seizure. Your neck was moving a little bit. You okay?
I'm listening.
Just making sure you're okay.
Because you're doing the common
No, brother, please, brother. Thank you so much. I love you, brother, really. When Adam and Eve, Adam is the head over woman. God is the head over man. When Adam ate, God came to him, and I'll give you a check if you want to, because I know I like to go back, and this is what I do. He ate of the fruit. Like the brother said, he was naked. God came to him and said, why are you hiding? He said, I'm naked. He said, who told you you're naked? Yes or no? You agree with that part? Thank you so much for agreeing. He then asked him, who told you you were naked? He said, the woman that you gave me the fruit, and I ate. He took no responsibility over that woman. Now this turns into a generational curse, which goes down to Cain and Abel. When a man leaves a woman unprotected, we're going to see death in high numbers, as we do right now. Detroit, Chicago, New York, they're even rapping about it, calling it drill music. But if men, young men, had fathers in their lives that could elevate them, love their mothers, appreciate their mothers, guide their mothers, because when a man loves a woman, the children will be protected. But when a woman has to pick up the slack of a man and become a man, more masculine in her approach with her sons, the boy turns into something other than himself. And now we're seeing at high numbers. We're still going through the sins of Adam not being a provider and a teacher, because a provider isn't just financial. Providing is emotionally, mentally, spiritually, intellectually. This is what a provider is.
Now, let me just chime in. I agree with the provider thing and all of that, but he's still taking the accountability off of the woman. If these women were following the Bible and doing what God planned for them to do and following what he said to do, then maybe it would be different. But a lot of these women are not. They are not aligned with God. They're not doing what the Bible says. They're doing everything outside of that. So if the women are outside of God's plan, how are the men going to protect them and guide them? How are the men going to direct them and lead them the way that they should go? You can't protect a woman who's of the world and doing her own thing. So when they're talking about the Bible, I get it, but these people are not operating based off of that, because if they were, they would all be virgins until marriage, got married first. They would have then had their children, and they would have did it the way that God intended. But because people are outside of what God intended, this is not going to apply, because everybody's doing their own thing. They're not following God. So if you have a man who is trying to follow God and you have women who are promiscuous and doing the worldly things, then that man cannot protect that woman and cannot be in that realm, because that is not a woman of God. But let's continue.
And when a man's unable to do that, we see what's going on. Young girls not knowing how to choose a man, and men speaking down to women. This is what's going on. This is the sin of Adam, not the sin of Eve. But you men believe that.
You know, Adam was punished not for eating the fruit, but to hearkening unto the voice of the woman. That's why he don't understand. See, he'll move the goalposts and start talking about drill music and all of this other nonsense. That's not true. Let me tell you something. God punished her. He punished her first. He punished the woman. He didn't punish the man because of the woman. He punished the man for hearkening unto the voice of the woman. And that's the context. How can you sit there and say, because she wasn't provided for and protected, when at that time, before sin was committed, God was the provider and the protector? So did she sin against her husband or did she sin against God?
Are you asking a question?
Yes, that's a question.
She sins in both.
Did she sin against her husband or did she sin against God?
Both.
Well, that would make you a hypocrite. That would make you contradictory because
How?
I'm gonna explain to you how.
Please.
Because you said that she wasn't provided and protected for. God had gave them everything that they could ever need. Their responsibility was to make sure that they listened to God and did what he's supposed to do. They only had one rule.
That's beautiful, brother.
There was only one rule, not to eat from that fruit. That's it.
That wasn't it.
That was the rule.
No, it wasn't.
That was the rule.
No, it wasn't.
And they sinned against God. They were punished as a result of it. So for you to say that she wasn't protected and provided for is a lie, because then that would mean that you convicting God.
Woo, child, listen, I'm going to leave it here. This went on for about 2 hours. It was pretty good. It was a good debate. You know, honestly, I think both of them had some good things to say, but I have to say, if I had to pick who was the winner of the debate, I'm definitely going with Anton, because I agree and align with more of what he's saying. And I ain't gonna lie, the other guy, I do kind of, it does give a pandering feel, like he's just saying what women want to hear. Listen, y'all, let me know what y'all think of this debate. Chime in the comments. Who do you think won the debate? I want to hear your thoughts on this one. I'll put the link to the full video. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Shout out to Hardly Initiated, Anton Daniels, and Yada. But I'm gonna leave it here. Thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.